So I'm just having a pipe here. Memorial Day, or no, Labor Day. Sorry. Labor Day holiday. I've been laboring in the yard, kind of catching up. I've been out having too much fun. So I make these videos because I'm a social smoker and I just get more enjoyment out of smoking with other folks and having a little conversation. So, crazily enough, this works in that regard for me. So, but I have had a friend of mine. He's kind of my adventure buddy too. You know, we'll do things together. He's a pipe smoker, so I've been smoking with him. So that has taken some of the need for making a video away. So I apologize for not, or whatever. I mean, I just make these because they're fun to make. But his sister came over from Maui, Hawaii, and with her significant other and her adventure buddy, actually. And so he works for the Fairmont chain. So they, on vacations, can stay at places and get a cheap rate for a room. So I went up with them to Victoria and stayed at the Empress Hotel, which I would never, ever do on my own. That just isn't something I would do. It's not my style. My style is to either camp out, take a tent, and motorcycle camp, or, barring that, find an inexpensive backpacker hostel somewhere in the heart of the town, wherever it is. That's how I like to travel, actually. But this was really fun. And meals are half price. Still expensive, I will say. But it was a lot of fun, actually. And you just have to say, well, this isn't how I would do it, but it's a lot of fun. So, so let's have some fun. So anyway, it was a good time. And then they came back here, and we went out on the boat for a few days and anchored out. I didn't know if they'd like that, but we had a great time. And yeah, it's only a 28-foot sailboat, so it's pretty small. But they're just so easygoing, and it was just a great time. Really out of the ordinary to do that. So I'm smoking an old custom built. So old. How old is a relative term. This is not a... let's see, where is the stamp on this? But it's one of the relatively later ones. So, yeah, a lot of putty in this guy. But I kind of like the shape. And I love that custom built / BP Jum rustication. Kind of a big router that went through here and gouged it up. And it's not perfect at all. You know, they gouged out a little of the band here for the Bulldog. Yeah. And like I say, there's a lot of putty. But I just like that shape. Smoking some Cordell and Deal Habana Daydream number 420 from 2008. So, nice stuff. Honestly, this stuff needed to mellow. I can remember when I tried it right out of the tin when it was fresh. Knocked me out of my socks, I'll tell you what. It was just like boom, nicotine and intensity. But now that it's mellowed for, what, 10 plus 5, 15 years, it's quite nice. So once upon a time, I was enlisted. Enlisted is the word, to be a baker at a little restaurant in Colorado, up in the mountains, in Silverton, Colorado. It was only for one season. I thought about doing it professionally, like either go to school or just do on-the-job training with it, but I was already on another career track, so, and I've stayed on that career track my whole working life, basically. So I didn't become a professional baker, but I still like to bake. My mom and my grandma were like awesome bakers, and I think I just grew up around that, appreciating that. So when I was, let me check something. Yeah. When I was baking, I asked the waitresses who, at this place in Silverton, called the French Bakery, so a few expectations there. What do people really want? What do they ask for? And every time it was homemade pie. Any kind of homemade? No, any kind of homemade pie. Just make it be homemade. So, okay. So I said, ladies, let's get together. Let's gather up all the pie crust recipes we can find, and we'll try them all. Because the restaurant was at 9,300 foot elevation in Colorado, southern Colorado, southwest Colorado, where the relative humidity during the summer is like 20%, combined with the elevation, makes it more of a challenge. And, a lot of these pie crust recipes that your grandma might have used, calls for like 3 drops of ice water. Forget that. I mean, I'm making 10, 15 pies a day. So it has to be scaled up. And it has to taste good. And honestly, it has to be flaky. It has to be all those things that pie is, right? Good pie. So, gosh, we tried them all. I did try the 3 drops of ice water, and that was an abject failure. I did try, we tried gin, we tried vodka, we tried olive oil for the fat in there, we tried lard, we tried, gosh, now I forget. I mean, there had to be 15 different recipes that we tried. And it wasn't scientific, but it was relatively usefully testing those things. So there was one in the Suquamish Ladies Auxiliary Cookbook, which was this little cookbook with 5-can casseroles. You dump 5 cans into a casserole and bake it up. It was like a 1950s, early 60s kind of cookbook. But there was a recipe in there for a perfect pie crust from Dorothy Zanoni. She was the wife of one of the miners. In Silverton, they were still, the gold mine, which had been sold to a Canadian company at that time, was still operating. So Sunnyside Gold was, as I remember. So anyway, and the waitresses were all like the wives of miners, and they were just like, had husky voices from smoking 50 years, and you could just see them with a cigarette dangling out of the corner of their mouth. But they were just tough but sweet, and they were awesome. So we tried all these different pie crust recipes, and Dorothy Zannoni's actually was the winner. It was scalable up, it tasted good, it used Crisco and an egg and a tablespoon of vinegar in with some water. And it has kind of been my favorite ever since. Now, I had a good friend who could not eat eggs, so I experimented with deleting the egg and adding a little more water. And I will occasionally use lard. Lard is actually, or it was back then, very irregular. You might get a little pail of lard that was soft and creamy at room temperature, kind of like soft butter. And then you'd get one that was just hard like wax, and it was just really inconsistent. Everybody said, "Oh, you gotta make pie crust with lard." But I chose to use Crisco instead. Not the fake stuff, not the house brand, but Crisco. Very consistent product. So, that's what I've been doing ever since. And I started entering a pie in a county fair contest, and the local contest here was, might have been a month ago now. So I have gotten first prize. And this year, the competition was tough. I'll put a few photos at the end of the video here. And it can always be tough. I mean, I've entered in the state fair in Puyallup and didn't even place. There were like 35 entries, and I was just lost in the middle or the back somewhere. So, you never know how that's going to go. But this year I got third and best male baker. There are only two of us. So that was threw a bone to the guys. It's like, here, have this. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. And the woman who got first was this little grandma who was very religious, and kept referring to her maker. And they asked her, so have you always made pies? Yes. So what's your secret? So she went through kind of her pie crust recipe, and she always uses lard. But she said, "Oh, I always made a lot of pies because I had 6 kids, and then after they were in school and kind of becoming more independent, she started foster caring for kids, and she actually did like 600 foster kids. It was just like, oh my gosh, you are a saint." And she actually adopted 6 of those kids, so she had 12 kids basically, and all those foster kids. Oh my God. So that woman could cook. And I think she should have gotten the award no matter what, the first place, just because she is who she is. And has demonstrated a life of giving and caring. May we all be able to do something like that, right? So, the third weekend of this month, September, is the state fair again. I think I'm going to enter a pie there. The one at the Kitsap Fair was a peach Rainier cherry pie. So those big red dark cherries. Very local stuff. The peaches came from a tree here in town. And the cherries came from Eastern Washington. So I may enter that particular combination again. We'll see. I don't know. I have a friend who's just turned, I think, 87, but spry. I mean, she's more dynamic than I am. So I always share pie with her. And so we'll sit down and have a piece of pie. And by the way, sharing stuff that you make with your friends is just the greatest way to get together. Sometimes you don't have an excuse to actually get together. So having some homemade pie gives you that excuse. Or whatever you make, you know. And everybody should have something they make. That's kind of a specialty, if you ask me. So, why did I bring Sharon up? Because she had recommended that I had made some kind of pie. It was kind of a slumgullion, where I had some apples, I had some blackberries, I had some rhubarb, but I didn't have enough of any of those for a whole pie. So I just kind of combined them all, and she loved it. She thought that would be a big winner. So who knows what I'll do. Blackberry season is sort of winding down. I was out picking a few blackberries earlier, and yeah, they're kind of winding down. I sort of missed it because I've been gone. Up to Victoria and out on the boat, and just having fun, you know, being social. So there's also the Central Washington State Fair. Now, the county fairs, you have to reside in that county to enter a pie in the pie contest. Otherwise, I do the adjoining counties too. But it's just fun. So the Central Washington State Fair, I do have a place over in Sunnyside in Yakima County, and that's where the fair is. But I think you don't have to be from Yakima County or Benton County or wherever. So I'm going to enter a couple of pies in that contest because they also have like an Apple King category. And so in the past there, I've made a sour cream apple pie. And that's one of my favorite pies. It's got this kind of creaminess along with the fruit and then the crust. Pretty darn good. So we'll see if that takes a prize. Last year it won a $75 award. So it's not the money, it's fun. So there are still some pie competitions coming up. So we'll see how that works. And then having my friend's sister and her guy here, we talked about Maui a lot. And his son is a firefighter on Maui. And what they went through is just amazing. So I'll put a picture up. We had a fire early this morning. Why are they pretty much always early in the morning? At like 2 a.m. Wake you out of a deep sleep. And down this goat trail of a road. I mean, it is just we have several roads that are just scary when you're driving a 55,000-pound truck, you know. Steep, narrow, no turnaround, you know. So, and you inevitably spill water, and the road gets slippery and a little muddy. Oh, man. So, anyway, I was there for a couple hours last night, about 3 hours actually. And that's always a interesting activity, being a fire department volunteer. So anyway, that was quite an experience. So I did sleep in a little bit today, but I had a lot of catching up to do here in the yard, and I didn't get nearly all of it done. So I see why people retire, because there's no time to get everything else done when you work, even though I love my job. So I'm not ready to retire. But anyway, I've just been having too much fun. It's been a great summer up here in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, we did have a little bit of rain, but gosh, really a dry, sunny summer, which was delightful. So I was walking around the yard. There's firewood to get in. Now it's September. It's like, gotta be thinking about that. So this doesn't have as much flavor as I remember it having. But then, ever since COVID, my taste buds have been kind of screwed up, kind of numb. Occasionally, I'll get a zing of flavor, but I don't know. It might just be the aging process and have nothing to do with COVID. Who knows? But I do remember when COVID just started, I had a week where I couldn't taste or smell anything, and I really should have been able to. Now it's not that bad, but it's like my taste buds are a little slow. But oh well. If that's all the bad stuff I got, well, hey, I'm happy. So life is good. You have to do things with people when the opportunity arises. So I think you have to just make it happen, because who knows when you'll see them again, right? So even though I missed most of the blackberry season because I was gallivanting about, that's a small price to pay. So I normally freeze gallon bags of blackberries, like 4 or 5 of them every year, and then make pies throughout the winter or whatever. So I do have a few left in the freezer, but yeah, life is good. I hope it is for everybody else too.
talking about me. I don't know what to say.